think about Agile generally, what's something in the Agile world you think should have been more popular than it was?
Can I give you two?
Look at you. I'm noticing a pattern here.
XP. We go back far enough. I think for me, anyone who does Scrum well does XP anyway, pretty much. But it's still it still happens that people try and do Scrum without all of those great engineering practices, and don't try that. It's a terrible idea. It won't work very well in a software context, right? So XP, I think, should be on a level footing with Scrum. In fact, the two should have just largely combined. Now, I know some Scrum is not software, but still. And one that I think that you might enjoy, specification by example.
Yeah, gets my vote.
I think because I know you're a fan, because any or BDD or whatever format you want like anything that drives communication and collaboration and conversation between people who in the same team who do different roles to ensure a shared understanding and prevent defects before they happen is something that should happen more. And still, I teach this on my CSPO class, because I was like, look, your job is to make sure the team really, really crystal clearly understand what they need to build, right? Because it's better that than they build it wrongly and then you tell them it's wrong and they fix it. I still don't see it happening very often in organizations, and it's a shame.
I find it mind-boggling. I always find it. I mean, there was an API developer that I was talking to recently, and if he's listening to this, and he'll know who he is. And I just said, do you find it weird that you're given, something, a spec or some guidance, and then you have to create it, you have to work on the API piece, but not actually knowing like how that's going to be marked, like what when you're done with it. He was like, well, it's kind of weird actually when you say it that way. I mean, would it not be simpler to kind of get together as a team and say, right, if we're going to be delivering out this function, this feature to the user, they need a bit of API, bit of front end work, bit of work here and there. Would it not make sense just to begin to say, okay, well, should we talk about some realistic examples of what success means if this is done from the user's perspective? And then actually let's do just enough to make those pass. And he's like, oh, actually, that kind of makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah.
A lot of sense. You know what people say? They still say it when they're teachers. They say, isn't this a bit like having the answers and marking your own homework? And I say, well, how many mistakes would you make if you had the answers and marked your own homework? None. Like if you've got half a brain. Yeah. So you're preventing bugs. Yeah. Good. That's a good thing, right? We don't want bugs. We want to prevent them. So yes, it's just like that. And it's good. So I don't know, the mind boggles, but I wish more people used it.
One of the best arguments I ever heard against it was somebody said to me, I was facilitating a SBE like training workshop, and it was going really well. Everyone was really engaged. We had these huge kind of specs emerging, and everyone was really enjoying it. And one person came up to me and said, "I'm leaving this training." Okay, fine, you're absolutely free to leave. This is a voluntary thing, but I'd love it if you could tell me why you're leaving. He said, well, this spec by example stuff, it just makes things more complicated. I'm like, what do you mean more complicated? He was like, well, I'm a BA, I'm a business analyst. I write a requirements document and I hand it over, and that's it. And I can tell you, my requirements are not as complicated as you're making this. I said, well, this is the tragedy of it. Is that those requirements you're writing, it is all this complex. It is this complicated. You just can't see it. Like you're kicking the can down the road, and it's the developers who are going to be taking that, and the testers trying to say, well, what on earth do these requirements mean? That's when the complicated element will hit, and you're just insulating yourself from it.
That's a wonderful example of a local optimization, isn't it? It's like this might make my immediate thing a little harder, but it makes the overall spectacularly easier, right? But if you're looking just from that individual's perspective, it's like, but this is making my life worse. It's like, yeah, but your life and the team's life are not separate things, right? We're focusing on that global optimization, and systems thinking is another reason I love less, by the way, the systems thinking approach. So yeah, it's is this right for me? Maybe. Is this right for the team or the organization? Yes, right. Well, we'll do that.
Your output is not the outcome, unfortunately.
Absolutely.